you see what that says? The kids are upset you didn't answer. Wow. Where there are students wanting to know math, I shall give them the math. I'll feed you, baby birds. Let's go. Let's learn how to do this, shall we? Okay, check it out. Shablam, grade 9. Not only a grade 9 question, but honestly a pretty difficult one. And I'm confident that you can actually understand what's happening in this process. So we are trying to isolate our unknown. We're trying to get X by itself, but there's lots of things, and I have a process that, again, if you come and see me at some point in your life, you will learn this process to figure out how to do this. But our ultimate goal is to get it so we have just X on one side of the equation and then some number on the other side. And whatever that number is, that's going to be the value of X. But there's a few things we've got to do first. First off, I do not like this. I do not like having a number outside of parentheses. I don't want to have parentheses, making things more convoluted and frustrating and difficult than possible or than necessary. So let's first start by doing something that you will learn in grade 8. I'm not sure what grade I'm talking to, if it's 6, 7, or 8, but in grade 8, you will learn a thing called the distributive property. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this 3 outside of these brackets, and we're going to multiply it by each of the terms inside the bracket. So we're going to multiply it by this X first, and then we're going to multiply it by this -1 second. So let's multiply that 3 in here. Now, we rewrite the entire thing. Do not try to cram too much in there. We're just going to rewrite the entire equation. 2x over 3, didn't do anything there. 3 times x, anyone? 3 times x is 3 x's. What about 3 times -1? That's going to be -3. So when we distribute that 3 into the x minus 1, it becomes 3x minus 3, and that's still all over 5. So I've gotten rid of one of the things I didn't like. Now, the other thing that I don't like is I love fractions, but the thing that I don't want to have in here is fractions. I don't want to be talking about 2/3 of x, and I don't want to be talking about like 3/5 of kind of x sort of minus 3. So I want to get rid of the fractions. Now, if you want to pause the video and discuss how you could get rid of these fractions, there are 2 main ways that you can do it. So feel free to pause the video and think about how you might be able to get these numbers out of the basement. How could you get these things out of the bottom? Well, the answer to this is you could cross multiply. So you could multiply this that way and this that way, or you can do what I like to do, which is find a common denominator. It's essentially the same mathematically. So what is the common denominator between 3 and 5? What number will both of those go perfectly into? And if you are saying 15, you would be correct. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to multiply the number 15, just like I did here. I distributed the 3 here and here. I'm going to distribute the 15. I'm going to multiply it by this first term, and I'm going to multiply it by this second term, meaning all of this is just a term, and all of this is one number, essentially. It's one term, a bunch of stuff being multiplied, divided, and add, subtract together. So let's multiply the 15 in. What's that going to do? Well, the 15 will be multiplied here by this 2x on top, and that's divided by 3, equals, and I also have the 15 coming over here, and it'll be multiplied by this 3x minus 3 on top, all over 5. Now, before I distribute, again, the 15 here and multiply the 15 here, let's reduce it. You might want to pause the video and chat with your teacher for a second about how you could reduce these things. So just pretend the stuff in parentheses doesn't really exist. What would this become if it were a fraction? What would this become? But I'll continue now. What it will become is 15 over 3 will simplify to 5 over 1. And 15 over 5 will simplify to 3 over 1. If you choose the correct common denominator, your denominator will always become 1. And that's what we're looking for, because that makes fractions disappear. When the bottom number is 1, just like 5 over 1, we don't write it that way, right? We just write it the number 5. We don't write 1, 2, 3 over 1, 4. We just write it as 3. And same thing here. When this is over 1, we can get rid of fractions. So now we've eliminated the fractions from our problem. Now we just have this 5 being multiplied by this 2x on top. There's no over 1 anymore. That's gone now. So it's just 5 times 2x equals, and up here, we don't have anything on bottom anymore. It's just this blue 3, and that's now being multiplied by 3x minus 3. Okay, we're getting closer. What is 5 times 2x, or 5 times 2x's? If you said 10x, then you are correct, right? So this is 10x on this side. And on this side, once again, we've got to distribute. So for those of you who think, why do we have to learn this in grade 8? It's because it never goes away. You're going to be distributing for the rest of your mathematical career. So make sure that you learn the distributive property well. You can see we've already done it 1, 2, 3 times in this one problem. So 3 times 3x gives us 9x, and 3 times this negative 3 gives us a negative 9. We're almost done now. Now all I have to do is I have x's on this side of the equation, and I have x's on that side of the equation. I need to take all of my x's and put them over on one side of the equation. So how can I take a positive 9x and move it over there? Well, all I need to do is subtract those 9x's. So when I subtract them, they cancel. Whatever I do to one side of an equation, I must do to the other. So now on this side of the equation, I have 10x minus 9x. And on this side of the equation, I just have negative 9. And what are 10 apples minus 9 apples? That would be 1 apple. And what are 10 x's minus 9 x's? 1 x. Just looks like that, x. And so over here, this simplifies to be just the letter x, and over here, it's negative 9. So the correct answer to this problem is that x equals negative 9. And if you wanted to with your teacher, you could come back to the very original problem, 2x over 3 equals 3x minus 1 all over 5. And if you plug in a negative 9 here, so 2 times negative 9, and then you plug in a negative 9 here, you should get some number. I haven't even checked it. Maybe it's like, I don't know, let's say it's 50, will be equal to 50. You should solve this and get the same number as this. So feel free to try that if you want to. Thanks for being interested. You guys are such great students. And anyway, I hope that was, if not helpful, at least fun and interesting. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.